Okay, boys and girls, let's try this again. We're on the bottom of page 306. The women and children came riding behind the Indian men. Little naked brown Indians, no bigger than Mary and Laura, were riding the pretty ponies. The ponies did not have to wear bridles or saddles, and the little Indians did not have to wear clothes. All their skin was out in the fresh air and the sunshine. Their their straight black hair blew in the wind, and their black eyes sparkled with joy. They sat on their ponies stiff and still like grown-up Indians. Laura looked and looked at the Indian children, and they looked at her. She had a naughty wish to be a little Indian girl. Of course she did not really mean it. She only wanted to be bare naked in the wind and the sunshine and ride one of those gay little ponies. The Indian children's mothers were riding ponies too. Leather fringe dangled about their legs and blankets wrapped around their bodies, but the only thing on their heads was their black, smooth hair. Their faces were brown and placid. Some had narrow bundles tied on their backs, and tiny babies' heads stuck out of the top of the bundles, and some babies and some small children rode in baskets hanging at the ponies' sides, beside their mothers. More and more ponies passed, and more children and more babies on their mothers' backs, and more babies in baskets on the ponies' sides. Then came a mother riding with a baby in a basket on each side of her pony. Laura looked straight into the bright eyes of the little baby near her. Only its small head showed above the basket's rim. Its hair was as black as a crow, and its eyes were black as a night when no stars shine. The black eyes looked deep into Laura's eyes, and she looked deep down into the blackness of the little baby's eyes. And she wanted that one little baby. Pa, she said, get me that little Indian baby. Hush, Laura, Pa told her sternly. The little baby was going by. Its head turned and its eyes kept looking into Laura's eyes. Oh, I want it, Laura begged. The baby was going farther and farther away, but it did not stop looking back at Laura. It wants to stay with me, Laura begged. Please, Pa, please. Hush, Laura, Pa said. The Indian woman wants to keep her baby. Oh, Pa, Laura pleaded. And then she began to cry. It was shameful to cry, but she couldn't help it. The little Indian baby was gone. She knew she would never see it any more. Ma said she had never heard of such a thing. For shame, Laura, she said. But Laura could not stop crying. Why on earth do you want an Indian baby of all things? Ma asked her. Its eyes are so black, Laura sobbed. She could not say what she meant. Why, Laura? Ma said. You don't want another baby. We have a baby, our own baby. I want the other one too, Laura sobbed loudly. Well, I declare, Ma exclaimed. Look at the Indians, Laura, said Pa. Look west and then look east, and see what you see. Laura could hardly see at first. Her eyes were full of tears, and sobs just kept jerking out of her throat, but she obeyed Pa as best she could, and in a moment she was still. As far as she could see to the west and as far as she could see to the east, there were Indians. There was no end to the long, long line. That's an awful lot of Indians, Pa said. More and more Indians came riding by. Baby Carrie grew tired of looking at Indians and played by herself on the floor. But Laura sat on the doorstep. Pa stood close beside her, and Ma and Mary stood in the doorway. They looked and looked and looked at Indians riding by. It was dinner time, and no one thought of dinner. Indians' ponies were still going by, carrying bundles of skins and tent poles and dangling baskets and cooking pots. There were a few more women and a few more naked Indian children. Then the very last pony went by, but Pa and Ma and Laura and Mary still stayed in the doorway looking, till that long line of Indians slowly pulled itself over the western edge of the world, and nothing was left but silence and emptiness. All the world seemed very quiet and lonely. Ma said she didn't feel like doing anything. She was so let down. Pa told her not to do anything but rest. You must eat something, Charles. Ma said. No, said Pa, I don't feel hungry. He went soberly to hitch up Pet and Patty, and he began again to break the tough sod with the plow. Laura could not eat anything either. She sat a long time on the doorstep, looking into the empty west where the Indians had gone. She seemed still to see waving feathers and black eyes, and to hear the sounds of ponies' feet. And that's the end of chapter 24, Indians Ride Away. Tomorrow we'll read chapter 25, Soldiers. Goodbye, boys and girls.